This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I'm joined all the way from California by Director of Wine, Nicole Walsh, and brothers, Evan and Andrew Nelson. Now, I know that you use about 5 facilities in California and one in Washington State. So where are you all today?
We're Evan and I are located in a log cabin in the central coast of California. We're just south of the Paso Robles region
Okay.
in a town called Santa Margarita.
I know that I've driven through there before.
Do
Yeah.
you really?
Wow,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
tiny
I've been
thing.
all over
Even
California.
people, even people on the central coast don't really know Santa Margarita. It is a one lane, a one road. It's rural, but it's cute. The downtown looks like a facade from Texas, like a cowboy movie
Yep.
scene.
It's not I know it well. I've driven through it and remember it. And Nicole,
Cool.
where are you joining us from?
I I am at Sunset Beach, which is just south of Santa Cruz area.
I know where you are also. Now, when I saw the name WarRoom Cellars, it did freak me out a little bit because I thought for a moment it was connected to Steve Bannon's podcast,
Sure.
who actually just got out of jail the other day, just in time for your election. But it's not at all. Tell me a little bit about the
No,
name
it's not.
and how the
Dude,
whole.
that is so funny. Okay, so we've been in business for 7 years now, and you're now the second person in like the last month to say that. No, we have no political affiliation.
I'm very glad to hear it.
There was this nice little old lady walking by, and I was on the phone. She said, "Are y'all with Steve Bannon?"
Oh, God.
I said, "What? The political guy? No, no, we're a wine company." And I sent her off with some Sauvignon Blanc, and now we're friends. So our name initially comes from the idea that we were waging war against big wine. That was kind of the original piece. Um, Full disclosure, I was at a different wine business and I'd gotten fired and sued, and I was very sad. And so it started like, we're waging war against big wine. We've since grown up quite a bit, and we're trying to build something. We're not trying to tear anything down. We're trying to really build something up. And so our slogan is all for wine, wine for all. And that may sound silly, but we take it really serious. We really try to meet consumers wherever they are in their wine journey, whether they're just coming into wine. We've got something for you. We've got something smooth and fruity and authentic. Or if you're deep into wine, you're a som or a cork dork. We make orange wine from Grenache Blanc. So really tried to have this really breadth, all for wine, wine for all. And our strategy, yeah, you want to keep going or
Yeah, please. I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
our strategy, honestly, our strategy initially was just not to go out of business. We tried everything initially, and about 2 years ago, we have really arrived at a strategy of we acquire iconic legacy wine brands, and then we reposition them for growth by focusing on what customers love. So if there's a brand that's really popular in the 80s or the 90s or even before then, we acquire that brand, and it usually comes with a trademark and some inventory. And then we really try to focus in on what is it the customers love about this brand. Is it a founder story? Is it a wine style? Is it a region? Is it a particular vineyard? We kind of fall in love with the brand through interviews, through surveys. We have a process to do this that has evolved over the years. And then we will relaunch the brand with a more focused message, usually that's really in what customers love about it.
So
Does that make sense?
yeah, it makes sense to me. I find it absolutely fascinating. Would it be fair to say that you take legacy brands or your website says declining brands actually. So
Yeah, it does, doesn't
it's
it?
fair to use that word, but it's on your website. And you revivify them, right? So you bring them
Yeah.
the life. That's a good Dungeons and Dragons spell I slipped in there.
Well said. You
Yeah.
know, I just recently have dropped the declining because I was with Randall Graham, who we were talking about earlier. I was
Right.
with Randall, the founder, a treasure of the California wine industry, the founder of Bonny Doon, and we were, oh, there we go.
Oh,
Representing, right?
Oh,
Hey, Randall.
dude. Oh, that is so cool. Okay, so we were with Randall with a big group of wholesalers, and I said, we acquire declining legacy wine brands. And Randall said, declining.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, yeah.
So, but yes, we're really in that revival, resurrection. We're going to restore and really bring back what customers love about that brand.
Now,
and we
you
want to
mentioned
really stay true to the brand, to the wine, to the heritage. That's really important to us, not totally change everything.
Now, speaking of Bonny Doon, Nicole, you come from Bonny Doon. You have continued that legacy. You did about 24 vintages with Randall at Bonny Doon and then came on board at WarRoom Cellars. So you oversee the wine production for all of these different brands now. When these two fellows took over Bonny Doon, did they get you to change anything with regards to the winemaking? I know that you reduced the number of SKUs you had because at one point you had about 200 different labels, which I used to enjoy. I have to say, I like that variety. But from my research, I found out that these fellows got you to slim down the production a little. But how did things change for you when WarRoom Cellars took over?
Not a lot as far as winemaking. I really, we needed to sit down with our growers, to look at contracts and really look forward at, okay, we are going to focus on these cigar family wines. We really depend on our growers. It's in cool climate areas with specific grape varieties that are, integral to the style and just really that, the blends, the historical blends and carrying that on. So, little things might have changed. Working with Cigar Blanc, for example, playing around with, okay, we're going to be doing more stainless steel, not putting the wine through malolactic, just,
Right.
making a little bit changes, to us, the acidity profile, and maybe some of the fruit, but really it was really important for me to continue our long-term relationships, the relationships that we've had with our growers. And I've had, just sitting down and making those contracts was really important. So once we had those in place, I was able to, carry on the wine style that we've had at Bonny Doon for as long as I've been with them. So
Now, I've always found Bonny Doon wines to be very, very solid, beautifully structured wines. But you said they're, perhaps not as much malolactic on some of the wines. There's a bottle flying about there. Not as much malolactic on the wines. Was that to try and give a kind of more contemporary twist to those wines that you had made in the past? One for a more
yes.
contemporary palate, modern.
Yeah, like I think that, over the years we've struggled. I mean, Randall would be the first to admit, Cigar Blanc as an example, white Rhone blends just being not the most popular, just, trying to figure out how can we get people to really, love this wine. And I think having the ability to maybe put a little bit more of maybe what I like to drink, or, talking to WarRoom, Andrew, to our team, just kind of getting feedback and what the marketplace, and then really looking at the fruit, what we're, as the fruit changes with climate or with vineyard sourcing. I'm always just really trying to make the best wine. What's in balance? What do I find, pleasing? And so that's changed a little bit.
I think white Rhones have always been a bit of a challenge on from my side of things as well. I've always loved them. Were you ever responsible for any of the Le Sofis that Bonny Doon made back in the day?
No, I joined
Do you know
2001.
the wine I'm
So that
talking about?
was
With the
Yeah, I
top
do.
hat?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
no,
had a
I've
little
enjoyed
plastic
it.
top hat on a slant, like a quirky little top hat on the top. It was a Marcel
Do you
Husset.
have a top hat?
No, I didn't. Do I have
No.
one right now?
Yeah, no, one of those.
All right, okay.
Randall doesn't have any. I've been looking for one
Oh,
of those
for the
Lissopi's
bottle?
top hat for the bottle.
Yeah, the
No, I
bottle.
never kept one, but quite a
Randall has some of the old Lissopi's, but the top hats are nowhere to be found.
I
You know, that wine really has aged wonderfully too, I might
Yeah.
add. You know, that really was wine for the ages. I mean, we enjoyed, I mean, maybe it was a few years ago, but you know, it was from the 80s, I think, and it was like delicious and really, really beautiful wine. So
yeah, that was one
If
of
you
my.
have any old bottles, Jamie, they're in the zone. I'm trying to remember what vintage Randall opened most recently, but I want to say it was from the 90s and it was just rocking. It was still
No,
vibrant.
I have none of that left.
It's
I actually
incredible.
bought two cases the six. I loved it, and I don't think I sold one bottle because it was just so out there for
Yeah.
an audience in Edinburgh back in the early 90s. It just no. I wonder what ever happened to that wine. Hmm.
Jamie, that was actually part of the SKU consolidation. Was we had things in kegs in
Oh,
1.5
yeah.
and magnums, and so sometimes we had the same SKU but across multiple different formats. So really giving focus to the 750 milliliter.
So when you acquire a brand, you get the brand, you get the audience that they have established over time, you get the wine style that they have, which a lot of those followers will be looking for. But I guess you also get the distribution networks, right?
You do. Yes, you do. Kind of depending on the brand. Yeah, good question. So we really focus on a small and mid-size distributor network.
Mhm.
We really look for distributors that are focused on a single market, and so we look for brands that are in that same distribution footprint. We're not aligned with any one major wholesaler, and so sometimes it can be a challenge if a brand that we're looking at is nationally aligned with one wholesaler. Um, it really depends on each brand. I'm so glad Nicole called out the fruit contracts. That was something really specific to Bonny Doon. You know, but for the listeners that don't, Bonny Doon is known for really unique grape varieties, unique winemaking methods, and alien spacecraft. You know, attempting to live at the vineyard. And so these are not grape varieties that are just widely available. Grenache, Vermentino, Grenache Blanc, Claret Blanche, and others.
Cool.
Pickpool, yeah.
Pickle,
So
yeah.
a lot of our focus was making sure, can we continue buying from these same growers, from these same vineyards? Can we continue with this wine style? The I learned about Randall and Bonny Doon in school, actually. So it was like this, great honor. And also I was nervous around him all the time,
Yeah,
starstruck.
I get
Uh,
that.
Meeting with Randall Graham. But it was so important that we continue that style, that flavor profile with beautiful aromatics, cool climate, Rhone grape sourcing, which you can't just go out and find that. So that was a big part of the Bonny Doon acquisition as well.
I can understand why that would be important for you, Nicole, because a lot of these smaller producers with those more esoteric varieties wouldn't necessarily have a market for those grapes unless they were being purchased by Bonny Doon.
yeah, you hit that perfectly.
Because
It's
a lot of
exactly
Planting contracts, crafting contracts. Yeah,
yeah, and a
exactly.
lot of these vineyards have, they're reasonably established now, and you really don't want any of those ripped up and planted with something a lot more productive, right?
correct. Really, and just, as far as what's in demand, I mean, that's kind of the beauty of these long-term contracts is, you can make something beneficial for the winery and the grower so that we can align on pricing and allow them to feel comfortable with their grape varieties that they're planting so that we can be really specific and kind of just, distinguished and, set apart from all the normal varieties that are planted. And then they feel comfortable because they have a home for and a buyer.
Makes sense to me. Now, Andrew and Evan, how do you divide your workloads, your roles within the company?